Well, thank you so much for speaking with us. Really appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here.
So first, I just want to ask you about your service. Why did you decide to go into the Army?
I love the military. My father, he served during Korea. All of my uncles, they all served at different times. And the military for me, it was like being a round peg in a round hole. It was the right fit for me. I loved what I did. I was a bomb technician, or EOD as they call us. And I like to think that the work that I did was very important. I had very specific opportunities on the battlefield to put myself between my brothers and possible death. And there was a lot of purpose in that. And I tell people often there's not one day in my life that I would trade 2 legs and a finger for any one of my friends. I loved what I did.
Tell me a little bit more about your injury and your experience with treatment in the VA.
Well, so I'm amputated on 2 legs just above my knees, and I'm missing my left index finger, which I often tell people when I'm speaking. I tell people that missing my left index finger, it's a bigger problem than missing 2 legs. And the reason for that is because I'm so often speaking to audiences, and I usually have either a microphone in my hand or I have a cane in my hand. And so that means when I start speaking to audiences, well, I don't have an index finger to point at them with, so I end up pointing at them with my other finger, and it becomes a bigger problem. So that's the bigger problem that I run into.
Tell me about your experience with treatment when you came back.
When I came back, I woke up after being injured September 19th, 2010. I woke up about 5 days later in Walter Reed Army Medical Center. And when I woke up there, it was to this nurse asking me if I knew where I was, and to which I had no idea where I was. And she said, "Listen, your name is Brian Mast. You're in Walter Reed Army Medical Center. You're going to be in surgery in a couple hours." And I think I said okay, or I don't know what I said. I was on a lot of painkillers at the time. And after that, it just became this 2-month endless route of being in surgeries, of people coming in and talking to me about how I was doing after being injured on the battlefield, and of just sitting there waiting for my wounds to heal. But after that, physical therapy became the routine of life every single day for 8 to 10 hours a day for the next year to 14 months, something like that.
But the VA doesn't have that great of a reputation. What do you think needs to be done?
You're exactly right. The VA does not have a great reputation. Now, we have to distinguish one thing here. When I woke up in Walter Reed Army Medical Center, I was serviced at Walter Reed, but that was under Department of Defense line of funding. That's not the same thing as the Department of Veterans Affairs. But the moment that I became serviced by the Department of Veterans Affairs, which was the day that I retired from the military, I can tell you that the quality of my care changed immediately. One of the VA facilities that I was treated by, obviously the most important care for me is prosthetic care. That's the primary care that I need. Well, they had 1 day a month that you could essentially be seen for prosthetic care. They called it prosthetic lab day. And so for somebody that goes to work every day, to say that you have 1 day a month that you can go and be seen for your prosthetic care, that's not a system that's accountable to the people that you're supposed to be serving. Imagine, for instance, if you had to go see your doctor and he said, "Oh, there's only 1 day a month that you can be seen on any given month." This is not a way that it would function for anybody else in the private sector. But this is the kind of care that our veterans are receiving, and it's atrocious.
And so your transition into politics, how can your military service apply to political service, and how can it help you?
Not one of the leaders that I had in the military, they never asked me to do something that they wouldn't be willing to do themselves or that they hadn't already done themselves. But that's not the standard that we see coming out of Washington, D.C., but that needs to be the standard. And for me, that's never going to be the way that I act. I will never ask something of somebody else that I wouldn't do myself.
Mm-hmm. And now focusing on your campaign, you're running for Allen West's seat. Why is that important for the GOP?
Well, this seat that I'm running for, Florida's 18th Congressional District, it's one of the most likely Republican pickup seats in the entire country. What you have right now is a very slightly Republican-leaning seat, but you have a seat of people that are really very willing to look at the issues. If you look at this district, the people there voted in large part for Mitt Romney, but they did not vote for the congressional candidate at the time, so people on 2 different parties. So you have a district where people are very willing to look at the candidate and decide who is best for the country. And then beyond that, you have a Democrat holding that seat who's leaving that seat open to run for Marco Rubio's open Senate seat. So it's a very important seat for our party. It's one of the most likely seats that we can take from the Democratic Party and move to the Republican Party.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that we didn't cover? Anything that you're ultimately hoping to achieve?
The way the world perceives Israel, unfortunately, in so many circles, it's a lie. It's a lie to believe that somehow the most peaceful country in the Middle East is the reason that we can't have peace in the Middle East. And I think that that's something that we have to fight against at all costs. I tell people at every opportunity that I get, because I had the opportunity to go over to Israel and serve alongside members of the IDF, to serve in uniform alongside the IDF, which was a very unique experience. But I tell people, as a result of doing that, you name to me one country throughout the Middle East that you would want the rest of the Middle East to look like. As an American, it's not going to be Libya, Syria, Jordan, Iraq, Iran, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. If you are an American, you could only possibly want the rest of the Middle East to look like Israel. And as a result, we have to give them every bit of support that we can muster for them.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.